What's up, everybody? What's going on? Hope you're having a good weekend, good Saturday. This show is had this planned for at least a month. I made some switches to the show, went back a little further to start booking. I'm booking from May. By the way, this show is my fantasy booking of the WCW WWF Invasion storyline. The Invasion. In 2001 it happened. So I'm fantasy booking the entire Invasion angle and the stuff that happened. And the real angle, it wasn't so good. Again, because Vince McMahon couldn't sign guys like Scott Steiner, Goldberg, the NWO, couldn't get Eric Bischoff, couldn't get Sting, the main guy of WCW was Sting, couldn't get him, couldn't get Ric Flair until after Survivor Series 2001. So, the Invasion angle, fantasy booking of the Invasion angle, it starts off with, before WrestleMania is announced, of course, that Vince McMahon owns WCW. He bought WCW. But something didn't go right, because Vince does not own WCW. Shane and Stephanie McMahon, the Raw before WrestleMania 17. The Raw before WrestleMania 17, Shane McMahon, Stephanie come out on Raw, and they tell Vince, their dad, that they are the owners of WCW. Vince is shocked, can't believe it, and then Shane and Stephanie, while they are in the ring, they announce they are not alone. And they say, we brought these guys with us. They go like this, and then out comes the NWO. Hogan, Hall, and Nash come out on Raw before WrestleMania 17. As I said, Shane and Stephanie then do this, and they join the NWO, and they are running WCW. Vince McMahon is shocked. I think that'd be a good way going into WrestleMania 17. Be a great surprise for the fans. Now I'm going to give out some of the names I have to the WCW roster. They're going to be called WCW NWO, that are going to take on the WWF. The guys they got are guys like Booker T, the Steiner brothers, I think Buff Bagwell, why not? Buff Bagwell, DDP. They got the Big Show. They took the Big Show away from the WWF. He becomes a Giant again. And of course they got the NWO. And later on, in my future fantasy booking shows of the Invasion, there will be more WCW names that come going into SummerSlam. And after the Invasion pay-per-view, more top WCW stars will debut after June or July. So that's just some of the WCW roster. ECW is a part of this fantasy booking Invasion angle. ECW, they're led by Paul Heyman. Some of the guys that jump from the WWF to ECW are Raven, Rob Van Dam, Taz, Rhino, the Sandman, Sabu, New Jack, Masato Tanaka, Tajiri, Super Crazy, and the Dudley Boys. Of course, in the real Invasion, there was no Sabu or Sandman or Masato Tanaka or Super Crazy or New Jack. In my Invasion angle, they're a part of ECW because they were for a couple years a part of the real ECW. So those are, and Tommy Dreamer also a part of ECW, of course, because he was the heart and soul of ECW. So now we go into before the May pay-per-view, which was Judgment Day, but no Judgment Day. Judgment Day is gone. Getting rid of Judgment Day, because Shane and Stephanie come out on Raw before the May pay-per-view, and they say to Vince, just let us have our opportunity. Just let us have our own pay-per-view this one time only. Let us bring back WCW Slamboree, which was the May WCW pay-per-view. It was Slamboree. So Vince agrees, and he says he's fine. He's fine that the WCW and the NWO, you think you're going to bury the WWF. Vince says no. We are going to bury your ass. So Slamboree, WCW Slamboree is back. 2001 Slamboree. It's going to have a mix of WCW, a lot of WCW wrestlers, but also some WWF top stars are part of it, because that's how you get buy rates. You can't just have a couple of WCW guys and a couple main eventers. You got to throw in some WWF talent, because they had a lot of talent. So WCW Slamboree kicks off with the WCW Tag Team titles. Sean O'Haire and Chuck Palumbo were the champions, defending against the WWF's Hardy Boys. Chuck Palumbo and Sean O'Haire win, retain the WCW Tag titles. Up next, we have the WCW Cruiserweight Championship. Sugar Shane Helms, which came into WWF. He came in with WCW NWO. He came in as a Cruiserweight champion. Shane Helms defends against Billy Kidman. Billy Kidman wins the Cruiserweight title at Slamboree 2001. In a fatal four-way tag team match, we got Team WWF, Team ECW, no Team WCW, just Team ECW against 3 WWF teams. One of the WWF teams were Stone Cold Steve Austin and Triple H against Edge and Christian, against ECW's Dudley Boys, against Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. That's a fatal four-way. Stone Cold and Triple H win the fatal four-way. On now to the WCW Championship on the line at Slamboree. Booker T is the champion. He defends against ECW's Rob Van Dam. After it, Booker T's pretty angry because Booker T retains the championship with help from his brother Stevie Ray. Booker's pretty upset about that. So Stevie Ray is now a part of WCW. He makes his debut. In the main event of Slamboree is a 6-man tag main event. The NWO, Hollywood Hogan, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall go up against, Scott Hall, of course. Part of the NWO, Scott Hall, Hollywood Hogan, Kevin Nash, 6-man tag against Team WWF, The Rock, The Undertaker, and Kane. The NWO wins. And after it, they spray paint Kane. So then Slamboree ends. I thought it was a good pay-per-view, what I booked. So now on to the King of the Ring pay-per-view, which took place in June 2001. It's a WCW WWF pay-per-view event, because both rosters, both brands are part of the King of the Ring. So the King of the Ring pay-per-view kicks off. King of the Ring 2001 kicks off showing the NWO and Shane and Stephanie in a skybox watching the event. Nobody knows if they're going to interfere in matches or main events. Nobody knows. They're showing up in the skybox. And it's a great tease. Pay-per-view kicks off with the WCW US Champion. By the way, at Slamboree, I had Booker T defend the U.S. title because he came in as U.S. Champion and he was WCW World Champion, so that's why Booker T defended the U.S. title, defeated Buff Bagwell, and then he defended the World title, defeated RVD, with help from his brother Stevie Ray. Now back to King of the Ring. U.S. title, Booker T defends against Lance Storm, defeats Lance Storm to retain the U.S. title. Pretty good match. Now on to the WCW Tag Team titles, which were defended in a fatal four-way. Chuck Palumbo Sean O'Haire defending against the WWF's Hardys, against ECW's Dudley Boys, and against the WWF's Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit. This match, fatal 4-way for the WCW tag titles, is a TLC match. It's TLC 3 for the WCW tag titles. First ever TLC match for a WCW championship in history. Sean O'Haire, Chuck Palumbo retain and win with help from DDP and Canyon. They make their WWF debuts and WCW debuts. But Canyon and DDP are part of the WCW. So they help the WCW Tag Champs retain. Now on to the King of the Ring tournament. King of the Ring tournament. First round matches. You have Mike Awesome, a part of WCW. Mike Awesome against ECW's Taz. I have Taz winning that first round match. He goes to the second round. Next, first round match. Rob Van Dam of ECW takes on WWF's Chris Jericho. Rob Van Dam loses to Chris Jericho. So in the second round, it's Jericho versus Taz in the tournament. First round match from WCW, DDP goes up against WCW's NWO's The Giant, The Big Show. The Big Show wins. I still call him Big Show because just have him keep the name Big Show, even though he's part of WCW. So Big Show defeats DDP in the first round. Last first round match of the King of the Ring 2001 tournament. Rhino of ECW and Tajiri of ECW. As you see, I have guys from WWF, WCW, and ECW were all in the King of the Ring tournament. They all got their chance to win the tournament. So Rhino defeats Tajiri to go to the second round. Second round matches. Taz defeats Chris Jericho. Taz defeats Chris Jericho to go to the finals. Big Show against Rhino. Big Show loses to Rhino's Gore. So Rhino is up against Taz. ECW's Rhino against ECW's Taz in the 2001 King of the Ring finals. Taz wins the 2001 King of the Ring tournament. That's what I would have done. I wouldn't have had Edge win it, but whatever. Taz wins it and then gets a pretty good push after winning the King of the Ring, and might even get a world title shot. So now I'm going to talk about the WWF, WCW, ECW Invasion pay-per-view. Just have to check notes. Okay, so here we go with the Invasion. The Invasion pay-per-view. Kicked off with WCW Tag Team titles. Sean O'Haire and Chuck Palumbo defending against the Outsiders. The Outsiders win the WCW Tag titles. Up next, we got a, let's see here, triple threat tag team match. ECW's Rob Van Dam and Sabu go up against WCW's Eddie Guerrero and Chavo Guerrero. Against WWF's Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit. Team WWF, Jericho and Benoit, they win it. In 2001, I thought Jericho and Benoit, they were a pretty damn good team. They actually won the tag titles for a short time. They were tag champs. I think for one day only. And they lost, or maybe even for longer than a day. I know Benoit and Jericho defeated Stone Cold and Triple H in a pretty great tag match on Raw where Triple H tore his quad. So Jericho Benoit win the triple threat. Up next, we have a ladder match for the WCW. A ladder match for the WWF Intercontinental Championship, and WCW, or Lance Storm defeated Booker T earlier on a Raw. So Lance Storm's the U.S. champion. Edge is the Intercontinental champion. The ladder match is for the Intercontinental Championship only. Edge loses to Lance Storm. Lance Storm becomes the Intercontinental Champion after winning the ladder match, defeating Edge. Now we have a Cruiserweight triple threat, not for the Cruiserweight title. Rey Mysterio against Billy Kidman against ECW's Tajiri. Rey Mysterio wins, and also Rey Mysterio made his WWF debut at Invasion. In an ECW match, grudge match, Raven defeats Tommy Dreamer. And in the Invasion main event, it is a 10-man tag. The NWO, Team WCW NWO, Hollywood Hogan, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, DDP, and Booker T go up against Team WWF, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Kurt Angle, The Undertaker, and the Hardy Boys. Team NWO WCW wins. They win the 10-man tag main event at Invasion. Hollywood Hogan, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, DDP, Booker T win the main event at Invasion. So that puts WCW basically on top and makes Vince McMahon very upset and depressed. Now, the Monday Night Raw after Invasion, Vince McMahon comes out and really begs Stone Cold Steve Austin for help. He begs Stone Cold for help against WCW NWO. He begs Stone Cold for help. Stone Cold comes out, doesn't want to help Vince, stuns Vince, and leaves. And the crowd pops and goes wild for that. And then after that, we have on the Raw after Invasion, the WWF tag team titles on the line in the main event. Edge and Christian are tag champs, defending against the Hardy Boys. The Hardy Boys win the tag titles. Also, on the Raw after Invasion, Shane and Stephanie come out, cut a promo, and say that Sting wants The Undertaker at SummerSlam. I forgot to mention, Sting made his debut at Invasion. In the main event, Sting made his debut, and he helped Team NWO WCW win the main event. So Sting made his debut at Invasion to help Team NWO WCW. So then, on the Raw after Invasions, Shane and Stephanie say that Sting wants The Undertaker. Sting wants The Undertaker at SummerSlam. I think I forgot to mention at King of the Ring. So at King of the Ring, the WWF Championship was on the line. Stone Cold defended against The Undertaker. The Undertaker wins the WWF Championship. So Undertaker is the champion. That's why Shane and Stephanie say Sting wants The Undertaker. That'd be a dream match that we all wish we got to see in 2001, but we didn't. Sadly, we did not. But in my Invasion fantasy booking of the Invasion angle, Sting debuts at Invasion, helps NWO WCW win the 10-man tag main event. And then on Raw, Shane and Stephanie say Sting wants The Undertaker at SummerSlam for the WWE Championship. Crowd goes wild hearing that announcement, hearing that Sting wants The Undertaker at SummerSlam. Crowd goes insane, and Raw ends. So this ends my part 1 of fantasy booking of the Invasion angle. The battle between WCW, WWF, and ECW. So I'll kick off part 2 of my fantasy booking of the Invasion angle. I'll start part 2 talking about SummerSlam 2001. Which, SummerSlam 2001, a couple guys are going to make their debut at SummerSlam. A couple top WCW stars will make their debuts at SummerSlam. And SummerSlam will have ECW talent, WWF talent, and WCW talent on the pay-per-view. Hope you enjoyed my fantasy booking, part 1 of the invasion angle that happened in 2001. Hope you enjoyed it. Follow me on Twitter at TNA Guy. Also at NXT WWE Guy. Also, please subscribe to my YouTube. I'd appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.